here in Britain, we're a little bit envious of the fact that Germans have the Autobahn for one simple reason. The de-restricted zones. In the UK, we've been suffering with the 70-mile-an-hour speed limit since 1965. And back in the day, that wasn't such a problem because A, the most popular car, the Morris 1100, probably wouldn't make it above 70 miles an hour, and B, if it did, it'd be the noisiest death trap ever known to mankind. Today though, where the average car is maybe a BMW 320d, which can hit 149 miles an hour, while being as quiet as a library and having safety technology to prevent it from crashing in the first place, it makes a bit of sense to up it to maybe 90 or even 100 miles an hour. But what our Prime Minister said, before she became Prime Minister that is, that it would be de-restricted completely, and I think it doesn't mean just zones, it means entirely as well. And this has an obvious advantage for the petrol heads who will enjoy going over 200 miles an hour down these motorways. But there is another advantage which Liz Truss came across, and that was it would make Britain far more productive, which it will, as you'll find out later in the video when I find out all the stats. I don't think we're going to have the full de-restriction though, and I think there might be some zoned off areas, which I think is what is needed, because some areas, for example, are far too congested to have no speed limits whatsoever. And I'd also question the safety aspect of things as well, because the last thing we want is a dreadful incident such as the 2011 M5 pile-up. Before we wrap up the video though, I thought we should go through some figures, and I'm going to use the Mercedes-Benz E400D as an example. And let's say we wanted to go around the M25, which is 117 miles long, and I'm going to use my scientific calculator because why not? So 117 miles divided by 70 miles an hour, let's do that one first. That is 1.7 miles, there it is exactly. No, not 1.7 miles, 1.7 hours, whether that is in hours and minutes. Now let's do it by 80, because that's a proposed speed limit for some motorways in the UK, so 117 divided by 80.
2 hours later.
And we get 1.465, which is a reasonable shaving off that 70 mile an hour time. But the big one, of course, is if it was de-restricted, and this diesel Mercedes can hit 155 miles an hour quite easily, because in fact it's limited at that top speed, as is all the other German cars. And yes, it could comfortably do this as it is limited. I think it's something to do with the tyres, they can't take any more speed, but anyway. So this time, we're dividing 117 by a bigger number than 117. So we should get, oh look, pretty much 3/4 of an hour there, 0.7548. And yeah, that is obviously a huge saving, but I think that would come at the cost of A, safety, and not many cars can do 150 miles, not 5 miles an hour, even though a Mercedes-Benz diesel can. So I think now we've got the figures, let's make a table and pause the video to see the stats. Right, I think that table does show you just how much quicker it would be if we had a de-restricted motorway, even an 80 mile an hour motorway. But it's not going to happen, is it? And although it will make, and we use the word productive here, make Britain far more productive, yes, I don't think it's the right step to make. Maybe 80 mile an hour, maybe 90 mile an hour, but de-restricted, no. I mean, even in Germany, de-restricted autobahns don't make much sense because it's full of people pulling out into the outer lane, and it isn't very safe, let's put it that way. But anyway, thanks for watching, and see you in the next upload.